I'm just a little songbird, try to fly my way homeward with the melody, and I make the beat. Don't know where it'll take me, cause when I'm in the dark of night, I sing my way back to the light. Come along with me and your heart will see that a song changes everything. And the music is moving me forward on to brighter things, on to bigger dreams. Let the harmony carry me. Even if the sky's falling down, I know the sound will lead me out. Come along with me and I know you'll see that a song changes everything. Oh, ooh,
Wait for the fade out. There's a long fade out.
I'm always doing the finger sprinkles down. It's just my move. That's my dance move when I hit the song.
That's how we start every episode until we release your new song.
And sometimes I think we should just mix it up and throw that song. That song is so pretty. Her voice is angelic, I say.
It is.
Quite nice.
Beautiful. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. Good morning. I'm Catherine Pardicini.
And I'm Andrea Vocab Sanderson.
We're going to bring on our guest in just a few minutes, but we wanted to share that we have over 8,000 podcast plays, which is a huge accomplishment. Oh, we have sound effects today. So we're excited to share that with you and just thank you for all of you that tune in each week, for those of you that share your comments or your artwork. We also like to share that with our guests who have given you those activities to do. So we also wanted to share that we started our new program at Northeast Methodist on Monday, thanks to Impact San Antonio. Our musician, Jeff Wood, played music, and we have a new artist, Trina, who got to make some art with patients. So it's really exciting that we got to get into that space. And we have a graphic.
I would like to read it.
Yes, please.
The patient was having a really hard day emotionally and was hesitant to paint. You could tell she loosened up a bit after she was painting for a while, and she seemed to enjoy the company. She and Trina painted bluebonnets. Kim, the program director. Thank you, Kim, for that observation. We sure do appreciate it. And yeah, the more you practice art, the more you loosen up and get into the vibe. It's so true.
And you're going to start there soon, right?
I am. I'm starting this month, and I'm really excited to onboard at Northeast. It's going to be a tremendous time of doing creative writing exercises. I got at least 40 creative writing exercises that I could roll out, and even more than that. But I'm excited to share the ones that I do have with the patients there and even the healthcare workers. I find that art is it's not like peer pressure, but it's like when you see other people doing it, it intrigues you and it makes you want to do it too. So it's like, oh, those people are doing something. Okay, let me go over there and see it. Let me do it.
Yeah, I feel like it makes you curious about what you might be able to create as well. So yeah, it's like a healthy peer pressure.
One's jumping off bridges over here. We're just
writing stuff and
painting and making blue. I'm excited because the bluebonnets are officially out here in Texas.
Are they? Oh,
in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. I know you probably missed that. Just zooming down the highway, looking at the field of bluebonnets.
Yes, I do miss that. My son in particular there's a certain part of our neighborhood that had a whole patch of bluebonnets. And so we would like watch them evolve over the week. So we missed that. But we also wanted to welcome Memorial Sloan Kettering to our virtual programming. This is a way for us to provide our programs from anywhere or to anyone, wherever they are. And so if that's something you're interested in bringing to your healthcare community, you can visit our website and get in touch with us about that. But we're super excited to have them come on board. What else do we have going on? We have a supporter party on Friday at the Dakota, which I've never been to. Have you been there?
I have been to the Dakota. It's an indoor and outdoor space, and there's quite a bit of outdoor space, and there's usually a live band there performing on the weekends. The drinks are good. The food is delicious.
Mm.
And it's located on the east side of San Antonio. So if you know where the Alamo Dome is, it's only a few minutes away from the Alamo Dome. You go over that big old bridge on Iowa, and you turn and go down the street just a little bit. You know, you got GPS. You can look up the Dakota.
Yeah, you can
GPS.
Google it.
Dakota Ice House.
It's from 5 to 8 p.m. on Friday. So,
Party time.
yeah, it's party time. And all right, I think that's it. We're done with
Yeah,
the
that brings you up to speed. Now it's time to introduce our guest that's coming on today. He is one of my best friends in the whole world, y'all. I have known him for over 10 years. We've played in multiple bands together. So he's a percussionist, he's a painter, visual artist, he's a poet, and he's also a healthcare advocate that goes around to different places doing amazing things. And I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to let him tell you about it. So please welcome to the show from Into the Dark Blue, Zachary Jewell.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are you guys doing today?
We're good. We're happy to be with you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to it.
Like your stylish hat, Zach.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Gorn Brothers, always a winner. Also, I always love an Andrea introduction, a vocab introduction. If anybody who's ever had a vocab introduction will walk up on stage feeling like top of the world. It's a good feeling.
We should have you just craft welcome like intros for people vocab. People can sign up for you to make one for them. They can just carry it around wherever they go.
I like it. I mean, you can feel fearless and bold and brave wherever you go if you have somebody like speaking highly of you, because it's just putting that positive energy out there, and you're like, okay, because you're already doing the work. People are already doing the work. They just don't necessarily, their heads are buried in the work, so they don't see it. But on to you, Zach. We gotta get cracking. We got a lot to talk about today. So tell us about your journey.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long one, but so mainly I'll just kind of start from where I'm at and kind of work backward, I guess. But basically right now I am running a nonprofit organization that I started with a friend of mine we started a podcast and it turned into a nonprofit organization for men's mental health. And that is basically through my years of working with youth when I was in my 20s, just really learning about myself through art and music and all of those things has really brought me to this place where I want to be able to create a space for other men to learn about themselves in similar ways. And so, yeah, I started at 18 years old. I started a poetry meetup reading event for teenagers at a place that used to be here in San Antonio called the Lighthouse Cafe. And I started a poetry reading for just whoever wanted to come and needed that space. And that turned into becoming youth minister. And I did that through most of my 20s. I was a youth minister and actually created a Wednesday night art program for the high school and young and college students to come and study and learn about themselves and their faith through doing art. And actually Vocab was one of our guests that we had and that came and did some poetry for the kids. And, just being able to expose them to those things was extremely fulfilling, just to see them, how they responded to that, and see how many of the kids over the years have grown into just people who really appreciate art, and as well as just having a deeper understanding of themselves. And so it's always been a big part of my personal mission. So
may I ask what made you pick the arts or poetry as a way to connect these groups together? Like, what was the inspiration for that?
Well, mainly I fell in love with poetry. I had an English teacher in high school who brought a spoken word artist, Reggie Gibson. He came to our high school when he was here in town, and he did a workshop with us after school. And it's like, I even like I get emotional thinking about it right now because it changed my life. So it just basically that introduction to poetry in that form gave me a way to discover my sense of self. So from that point on, I wanted to share that with other people through my own poetry and through helping them connect to themselves through finding those words. So,
I just want to say this real quick. If y'all don't know who Reggie Gibson is, please Google, please get on YouTube, find his work. He is a legend in the slam and spoken word community. I mean, from movies to books to albums, you're going to love his work. And I had no idea that you actually, all these years knowing you, it was like 2008, 2009. I had no idea that you had met Reggie Gibson, and that's your introduction into spoken word. And no wonder you are still here with us in this community. That's a great introduction.
Yeah, Reggie Gibson is phenomenal. If you haven't seen a movie called Love Jones, definitely check that out.
Yep.
And then he's got a beautiful piece about Jimi Hendrix that is just good stuff. So check it out.
Okay. So that's your 20s going into early 30s. So if you don't want to talk about personal life, but are there any personal journeys that kind of shifted your focus that made you want to go into this field? And because now you're going to school and you're going to become a mental health care professional, like you're in that thing. It's like master's degree and doctorate. The sky is not the limit for you. So what personally happened in your life that made you want to kind of pivot to this place?
Yeah, and I'm a totally open book. I'm pretty comfortable talking about pretty much anything in my life. And so, yeah, my major catalyst for me was when I was 30. I actually moved to Seattle. It was my first time moving away from family, friends, and all that stuff. And in that process, ended up splitting up with my ex-wife, and we went through divorce throughout that process. Our divorce throughout that year, and I was in a new place. Didn't know anybody. It was a very strange experience for me. And so I started off with all of that, spending a lot of time alone, and it was good for me, but also bad in certain ways too. And so, when I started to, basically I spent so much time alone. I was like, okay, I want to start dating again. Like I would like to hang out with somebody, spend some time with somebody. And so I started dating again. And as I started dating again, I realized that my past was haunting me. So I essentially decided that I didn't want to bring those things into future relationships. So I started going to therapy because I didn't really see any other option. So that was a conclusion I had to come to on my own. And so it's not something that somebody was like, hey, maybe you should go to therapy or anything like that. Like I had to say, this might be a good idea for me. And in that process, I realized that I couldn't be the only guy dealing with that sort of thing, with not having the tools to process life struggles not knowing how to understand my emotions on a deeper level. And so I just developed this desire to provide that. So
I admire you for having the self-awareness to consider, getting seeing a counselor or a therapist as an option, because I think it's common sometimes where maybe we'll think about doing that, but we talk ourselves out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess can you talk a little bit about, I'm not sure, there's so many ways to go here. I guess at what point did Into the Dark Blue, maybe you could touch on just kind of how that came about. Was it after you kind of went through this process? You could share some about that.
Sure, absolutely. So I had moved back to San Antonio for a little while for a job with Amazon, and it was a new project they were working on, and I knew the city pretty well, so it worked out for me to come here to do that project. And while I was here, a buddy of mine and myself, we were out one day and just kind of started joking about making a podcast. And so we kind of threw some ideas around and actually, and that was the foundation for the Dark Blue, which was basically we get together, we have a craft beer, and we start a discussion over the craft beer because it's a great place to start discussion, because there's just so much about it. There's so many things you can talk about as far as how it's made and how it tastes and all that stuff. And so we started them as pub chats. So we realized in talking to each other, that's where we usually open up the most, is when we go out and have a drink together. And so we would have our deepest conversations in those moments. And so we created the podcast around that idea. And as we did the podcast for a little while, we were both thinking about like, how could we take this podcast and make it something that's more impactful? And so we took the podcast concept and took it into the real world and started creating men's groups, so guys could come to a craft brewery, have a beer, and talk about their emotions and learn how to understand themselves a little bit better.
So something else about you, Zach, that I love is you're a world traveler and you have a blog where you talked about some of your travels. So you decided you were going to take this idea on the road, and you literally get out there in your car or take flights and you travel around the nation, going to different breweries and doing that stuff. What are some of the places that you've been and some of the cool men that you've met in your experiences?
Wow. So actually a couple summers ago, I did a 10,000 mile road trip, and it was basically the launch of these men's groups and really trying to bring more awareness to the fact that we were going to be doing these around the country. So I drove from San Antonio and went west all the way around the border of the US, and stopping in a lot of major cities along the way, and back to San Antonio. So it was about 2 months on the road, and I got to see so many different parts of this country that I had never seen before, and just met regular guys all around the country, just normal dudes, just and that was probably the best part, is that like realizing how connected we actually are without knowing that. So everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants connection, community, and understanding, and having space and permission to open up and talk about what they're dealing with. And so, it's just being able to provide space for men to come and have conversations with me was one of my favorite things that I think I've ever experienced, because it was honestly shocking to me how much the guys I talked to craved and desired to have that space. When they found out I was there talking about mental wellness, they would come up and talk to me without prompting, and they would just start spilling everything that was going on in their lives. So it's pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much. We're about to transition into a break, and we just want to keep talking with you and hearing more about everything that you've been up to. And Catherine,
our break right now is by you.
I'm trying to make you introduce my song. I always feel weird like introducing my songs. I'm like, oh, it's me talking about myself. Here we go. But my song is entitled My Heart Knows, and I hope that you enjoy this clip.
And my heart knows, baby, it's true. And my heart knows that it's you. Yeah, it's true. Passion, what a burning in my soul. Give me fire and smoldering. Oh, 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 you to speak about to my love below. I wanna take it slow, but it's new. And my heart knows that it's you. And my heart knows, baby, it's true. And my heart knows that it's you, baby, it's true.
We're back. That was my song, My Heart Knows, and it was produced by a wonderful friend of mine who goes by Il Fudge, which is a cool name, DJ Il Fudge, who used to be DJ Ninja. He's a big old guy from Eagle Pass with hazel eyes. Random aside. So we're about to launch into an activity with Zach.
Yeah, Zach, let our listeners know what they would need to do this activity with you.
Absolutely, yeah. I made it simple. All you need is a pen, paper, and or your phone. You can use that as well. So it's pretty easy stuff.
All right.
So basically, what I want to do is help everybody connect a little bit more to their emotions. One thing that people are really bad at, a lot of people are really bad at, is understanding what they're feeling. And it's mostly because we haven't been taught how to know what we're feeling. We haven't been taught that there are like 34 different emotions and more. It's like sub emotions. So, we tend to base our perspective on I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad. That's kind of it. So I want to do a little bit of a writing exercise with you guys. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read several emotions, and it's a lot. So I want everyone to just kind of close your eyes and just listen to these different emotions. And they're broken up into 6 different categories. It's angry, anxious, sad, confident, happy, and content. Irritated, scared, gloomy, brave, joyful, calm, frustrated, worried, helpless, powerful, love, secure, aggressive, fearful, empty, aware, successful, peaceful, mad, afraid, grief, inspired, optimistic, safe, resentful, inferior, loss, courageous, excited, thankful, critical, stressed, hurt, curious, vibrant, discerning, hostile, weak, miserable, creative, cheerful, reflective, hurt, shocked, hopeless, strong, valued, balanced, offended, shame, lonely, bold, accepted, respected, furious, insecure, drained, proud, connected, grateful, bitter, rejected, bored, worthwhile, energetic, trusting, annoyed, uneasy, tired, hopeful, interested, relaxed.
Is that all?
That is all. That is right. Are you guys surprised at the number of emotions that I just read?
I am, yes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to me how many words we have to describe the different things that we experience. And so what I want everyone to do is take a few minutes and choose 5 emotions that stand out to you throughout from what I read. If you need me to repeat them, I can repeat them while you write. Would that be easier, or do you guys recall?
Let's do a few more. Let's do a few of those again.
Okay.
As many as you feel like saying again, because man, I wish we had more time, because I wish we had space in between each one so we could like think about how it makes us feel inside.
For sure. So yeah, so just write down the ones that really stand out to you and I'll read them. Irritated, scared, gloomy, brave, joyful, calm, frustrated, worried, helpless, powerful, love, secure, aggressive, fearful, empty, aware, successful, peaceful, mad, afraid, grief, inspired, optimistic, safe, resentful, inferior, loss, courageous, excited, thankful, critical, stressed, hurt, curious, vibrant, discerning, hostile, weak, miserable, creative, cheerful, reflective, hurt, shocked, hopeless, strong, valued, balanced, offended, shame, lonely, bold, accepted, respected, furious, insecure, drained, proud, connected, grateful, bitter, rejected, bored, worthwhile, energetic, trusting, annoyed, uneasy, tired, hopeful, interested, relaxed.
Okay, I've got my 5. We were supposed to pick 5, right?
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So now, do you guys want to read yours out loud?
Sure. Do you want to go first, vocab?
Yeah. I put extra just in case.
I was gonna put extra as well.
I was like, I'm cheating.
Overachievers.
Gloomy, joyful, helpless, empty, excited, worthwhile.
Mine are grief, grateful, aware, excited, reflective.
Nice. Those are great. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to pick 2 of those 5 that you've experienced the most this week. Okay, do you have them?
Yes.
All right, which ones did you choose?
Go ahead, vocab.
Worthwhile and excited.
Nice.
Mine are grief and reflective.
Okay. Nice. So now the next thing we're going to do is if you can write a description of that emotion, like if you were to think of an image of what that emotion looks like for you, write that as a line of poetry or just whatever, however you want to do it.
There's no pressure. There's no pressure because I'm always paired up with the poet laureate of San Antonio.
Comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yes, this is true. Sorry, you were about to say something.
Oh, I was going to say, for example, for anybody out there who's doing the activity and kind of struggling to come up with something. So thinking like if I were to think of anger, right? Anger is a dog chained to a tree that's just inches from its prey, right? Can barely just not reach its prey. That's kind of an image that I would think of for anger. And you can be as out there as you want to be, whatever it looks like to you. All right. Looks like we got one done. All right. Would you like to read yours, Andrea?
Yes. Unless Catherine wants to go first.
No, go ahead.
Okay. For excited, I wrote, no, let me do worthwhile. Worthwhile. The sacrifice it took to complete the task is nothing in comparison to the reward on the other side. That's worthwhile. Excited is, it's like you popped out of a frosted fruit-filled cake and offered me a bite.
Yes.
That's great.
Okay, mine aren't totally fleshed out, but so for grief, I put grief is a street puddle after a huge storm that's been sitting for days. And for reflective is the thing you haven't noticed before on your usual drive to and from wherever you're going every day.
Those are really good. And you were worried about being paired up with the poet laureate. Yeah.
That street puddle was real.
Yeah, right? And I was like imagining like the reflective, like seeing your reflection in the puddle and then like grief being like the puddle splashed and the reflection is just all over the place. So yeah, it just took me. So yeah, and that's exactly the point. That's exactly the purpose of this. Is basically what you've done here is you've created a great foundation for a story or a poem based off of the emotions that you're experiencing most frequently right now. And so if these are emotions that you're experiencing frequently and you can write about them in this way, just create images around them, it helps to make them more real and more present. So it's easier for us to process them. And then when they come up later, we can know what they are instead of having that uncomfortable feeling of just like I'm having feelings, I'm having emotions, and I don't know what they are, and it feels like pent up, kind of like oppressive, and it's just like I want to get rid of these emotions, or I want to like put them out there. And so this exercise can really help to make that easier.
I have so many questions and comments about this. We need to take a break in just a minute, but I'm curious if you can share when we come back from the break, kind of how this manifests in the group. Like, is this something you use in the groups that you lead, and kind of, I don't know, like how it shifts things for people, like what changes you notice. But we have to take a quick break first. This next song is called "Go Easy" by Big Infinite.
Shout out to Jordan Lally.
Shout out Jordan Lally.
How about we take the break from the breakdown? Make time to talk before words lose their weight now. Don't wanna start another war. How about we take the break from the breakdown? Make time to talk before words lose their weight now. Don't wanna start another war. Go easy. Fictitious words can cause mischief. Gifted for speak that keeps the party lifted. I say lifted, we can lift it up to a level where the trouble don't exist. Think back, get back, way back in the day. Go easy.
That song is jamming. Y'all
It's
go
good.
Infinite.
Oh, great.
So easy.
They also, I don't know if you saw, so Jordan and his group, they do that Power of Expression tour, and the documentary they made that he talked about on our show, it just got selected for a film festival, which is so exciting. Yeah, it's super exciting.
About those fellas, man, they have found something golden, and they are definitely doing the work, and it's such a beautiful thing to see it manifesting. And I know it's going to win awards. I know it is. I don't even doubt it, not one bit.
Right.
It's a powerful story. So hopefully, there can be more. We'll have more good news about that in the future. Thank you, Catherine, for sharing that.
Sure.
Zachary,
Great.
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good.
Good. You practice so many. Well, I don't want to interrupt. Catherine, did you want to ask Zach a question about what the practice we just finished with him before I go launching off into something else?
Yeah, I guess how is that the experience of that exercise when you bring it to a group? Like, do you feel like, do people just kind of dive in? Do you feel like it offers them clarity? Because to be able to attach imagery to an emotion I really enjoyed that. It's really powerful. I'm such a visual person, so to conceptualize it that way, it almost makes me feel like I understand it better in a very immediate way.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's exactly the intention. And so this specific exercise I haven't done with the men's groups, but I've done things very similar to this with the youth groups and teenagers in the past. And I do use a lot of kind of imagery and very like specific questions in the men's groups that just get people a little bit deeper into their surface experience, right? And man, it's over the last it's been about a year now since we officially launched some of the men's groups, and it's just the response that we've seen so far in most, if not all, of the men who come, who just they have been getting really deep into conversation with strangers and connecting with themselves in a way that I've gotten several comments on, guys connecting with themselves in ways that they never had before, and understanding things and seeing things from a different perspective, a different vantage point, right? And so this type of exercise with the kids in the past has done a very similar thing, and just really helps them to look at things from that different perspective, and proceed with more intention because of it. So
I was going to ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges you think men are facing in their mental health?
Oh, knowing it's okay to talk about it. I think that's the biggest one. Like I was saying earlier, the having permission and having space to talk is such a big thing for most men, because socially we're taught often to be the strong silent type, right? Like that's what's attractive, is to be the strong silent type, or to just work and press on and do your thing, and that's what makes you a successful man, right? And so so many men are experiencing these deep-seated emotions that they don't ever address, because they don't think they're allowed to. And the moment you get them into a space where you encourage them to talk, it just will spill out.
Yeah, I think it's so powerful, and it doesn't take just men unlearning that. It takes women unlearning that too, that we need to ask people in the continuance, and then not just ask, but I think a lot of times, like you say, when men start talking the most is when in activity, you're doing stuff together, whether it be cooking or playing a game or watching something, participating together, and you ask a question in the midst of that, and then men just open up. It's like, oh, okay, we're in this together, we're doing this thing, and it's okay to share in this space. And women need to learn that too. And the people in your life, like making space, like, have I considered his emotions? Have I thought about what he's feeling inside? Am I supporting him actively with the things that I say or present, or the things we do? We want you need us to take interest in that, as if we're going to be in friendship or relationship or partnership with you in different ways. I think that's so beautiful, because I've become more conscious of that myself, and just also learning, from watching you go through this process and the things that you're doing. So also, I want to ask you, are there some other organizations that you partner with as you've promoted into the dark blue?
Yeah, I mean, as far as organizations for like men's health, mental health, things like that, specifically, I've worked a little bit with the Movember Foundation. They're just Movember now, who they're doing a lot of work as far as raising money for smaller organizations, like Into the Dark Blue, and they distribute that money to help them do what they do. And that's a really amazing thing that they're doing, as well as focusing a bit more on mental health and things like that, and making that more present. They have a huge presence in Australia, because that's where it started. Anyway, I worked with them a bit, and then I've worked with a couple smaller organizations up in Seattle, and like Crisis Connection is one of the one up in Seattle that I've worked with a little bit, and they're doing great things as far as like phone options and text options for people to talk about their mental health, suicide awareness, that kind of stuff. And then, just a lot of coaches and individuals around the country that I've met through social media. Actually, like throughout the pandemic, I made a lot of close friends who are doing a lot of work to be coaches and therapists and things like that. And there's a lot of access to individuals like that through social media. So that's been pretty cool. And then one of the big organizations that supports us is Sheath Underwear, which is a primarily men's underwear company. But they're all about the mind, body, spirit connection. And so they are a big part of our journey as well. And they really help us do what we're doing in a lot of different ways. So
they did some really great video with you.
Yes. There's a film on YouTube. Luke Adams actually made this film. He went to the Arctic and Greenland, and he learned how to free dive in this super cold water. And
no.
yeah, right. I know. Yeah. So he went through this whole training process to learn how to free dive and then how to handle the cold temperatures. And so Sheath Underwear actually created a pair of underwear that the proceeds are going mostly to Into the Dark Blue, a little bit to Movember. And anytime somebody buys this pair of underwear, it goes to support what we're doing. But he basically was filmed free diving under an iceberg in this pair of underwear. That's it. And the whole thing was to bring awareness to bringing our emotions to the surface and bringing our mental health issues to the surface. And so it's like the pressure of being down deep under the iceberg and being just, enveloped.
Yes.
Yes.
Weird things there. That was, but it's just like, being in that and then coming to the surface and getting that first breath of fresh air after being under that iceberg. That imagery there is just phenomenal. So it's a great video, and it's on the Sheath Underwear YouTube, and it's also on the main page of our website if you guys want to watch it. So beautiful documentary, mini documentary, and short film. So
I love that. I think speaks to it ties in that there's some level of, I think, discomfort that comes with being vulnerable, not just with yourself, but with other people, especially if that's a new skill that you're trying to foster, So I have to check that out. I guess in your, we have a few more minutes, but you're a very creative person. And so can you tell us about some of the other organizations you're involved with? You and Andrea do some work together, not just creatively, but also in teaching as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in a band called the Four and Arm. So if you guys are here in San Antonio and you ever looking for something to do, go check out the Four and Arm. We spend a lot of time together playing music, and we have over the years. But as far as teaching and things of that sort, we're actually going to be doing a couple sessions with Gemini Inc. here at the end of March for social media for busy writers or artists. So anybody who's interested in learning how to do quick and easy social media to boost yourself up as an artist, then come check that out. It's virtual and in person. So you can register at Gemini Inc. I think, Dre, you had something to say?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, GeminiInc.org. So spell that out, GeminiInc.org. And our classes are going to be held on the 23rd from 6:30 to 8:30, and on the 30th of March from 6:30 to 8:30. So that's 2 Thursdays in a row. And we're going to be covering different social media apps that you can be active on, how to do your posts, how to talk about yourself, because that's a thing. People don't really want to necessarily talk about themselves and talk about the things they do it, and they may feel like they're bragging. But if you don't talk about who you are, what you do, whatever branding type of thing, items that you want to promote, then how can people support you? We can't support you if we don't know what you're doing. And some people think, oh, I did a post, like last Tuesday. Yeah, you saw it. You've seen it. No, you have to consistently post. You have to consistently talk about the things that you're doing, because then how will people know? And as far as the Foreign Arm is concerned, our show is coming up at the Echo Bridge, and that'll be happening. There's this coffee shop called Tandem on the southeast side of San Antonio. And if you walk outside of Tandem and go down a little slope carefully with your because you got to go carefully. That slope ain't nothing to play with. You take your chairs, whatever lawn chairs or whatever you want, and it's $15, and you can sit and you can listen to the Foreign Arm and George Garza Jr. He's going to open up with a set. I'm going to do a little bit of poetry, and then the Foreign Arm has a long set that we're going to do. And we'd love for you to come. Zach is an amazing drummer, and he does drum circles, and I'm sure he would teach some of you how to drum if you're here. You're like, hey, I want some drum lessons. I'm sure Zach would indulge you in teaching you how to do some drumming.
Absolutely.
What is the best way, Zach, for people to connect with you or find out more about Into the Dark Blue?
Yeah, it's just Into the Dark Blue on pretty much everything. Instagram is at @into_the_dark_blue. It's www.intothedarkblue.com. And just Google search as well. It should come up pretty immediately. We do have our podcast on Spotify and on Apple. What's it called? Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
I don't know. So yeah, we've got our podcast there, most major streaming services, and yeah. Yep. Oh, look, there it is. There we are.
Boom.
And man, I love this production. The production value on this podcast is phenomenal. You guys are awesome. So yeah, this is literally the most organized podcast I've ever been on. I'm
all right.
So
there you go, Richard. Yeah, Richard Wilmore, everyone.
Organizing podcast. Yeah, sorry. I will come up with this song.
So, and my personal Instagram is at breaking_of_light, and that's where I post poetry and photography and what we're doing with the forearm and all that sort of stuff as well. So
thank you, Zach, so much for coming on the show. You know, I'll see you very soon. I love you, brother. And yeah, if you, whatever you need from us, if we can help you do it, we'll help you, because we believe in what you're doing. And thank you so much for your journey through the world of men's mental health and navigating that space. We're going to take one more quick break. We're going to listen to Free to Be Me, in parentheses, unapologetically, by Daytime.
Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water, children.
Unapologetically, I am whispering my magic potion of love and unity into the universe, believing it will come back in the spirit of reciprocity. May my offerings be incense in the nostrils of God. May my words peel off the facade of institutional racism and discrimination, dismantling any powers that be trying to rob me of my identity. I wanna be free, free to be me. Is it possible for me to get back what's stolen from me? It's written in my genes, it's in my history. I'm who I'm meant to be. Truly being me.
Just spend the next 5 minutes. Just sing the rest of it, please.
Thank you so much. So that was Free to Be Me, in parentheses, unapologetically, by Daytime, which is another group that I'm in.
How many groups are you in, vocab? I need like a running list.
I would say for now, I think I'm in 3 groups, plus I have my solo music.
Okay.
And I love every single one of them. And I've been in, like I said, I used to be in a group called Midnight Radio with Zach, who just was here on the show a couple minutes ago. Thank you so much, Zach, for joining us wherever you are, backstage or anywhere you are. Like, he's really, really opened my heart and my mind to the idea of really being concerned about the mental health, and also having a little brother. I have a brother that's 18 years old, and he lost his father a couple of years ago. My little brother did. And I think it really helped me to shift the focus to be so much more concerned with what young men, adults, whatever, are going through, and how their emotions, how it manifests and plays out in their day-to-day life, and how they show it,
Right.
Or don't show it.
Yeah. And I think there's so many variables that go into how men process their emotions, or share them, or don't, whether it was how they were brought up or situations in their life that impacted them. And so I'm so grateful for the work Zach is doing in the world, because it's really, I think, really critical.
So important.
Yes.
We've got to start healing our men, because it's not that you really turn on the TV and see about a woman mass shooter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The ramping up, and I didn't mean to laugh with that. Like, it's like, it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about, knowing that men's mental health is in such a space of duress, that we're having so many mass shootings all of the time. But when we start showing and introducing them to creativity and impact them with just color,
community,
light, sound, community, and all creativity, all of these things coming together can help to heal and mend and keep them off of these darker paths that will take them into places where they don't need to be. And so I'm really grateful. We do have some other things that we would like to talk to you all about out in the podcast land or wherever you're listening and watching and tuning in on YouTube. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in with us and being our friends here on Hearts Need Art. But I'm in the process of doing this ekphrastic class.
Yes.
At a place called Mosaics Gallery in the Blue Star District. And I wanted to share some of the artwork that my students have been doing. So they've been responding to my poetry. They've been responding to other people's poetry. And this is some of their work. We have Alina's work. We have Valeria's work here. And if you're listening and not looking, Valeria has two pieces here. One is some hands that have pieces of ribbon, and she realized after she did it that it looked like breast cancer awareness ribbons, which is kind of cool.
I didn't think that at all, but
yeah, but it's just hands holding these ribbons. In the middle, we have Alina's work. I asked them to come up with, make their own symbol. If they could have a symbol of something that they would want to advocate for, say they were going to a protest or they were going to a rally, what would they want to rally or protest for? And so she came up with this symbol, which is like a triangle with the eye and a lot of rainbow colors and a peace sign and people holding hands, and like kind of like clouds. And then the third piece is another piece by Valeria. And the poem that she wrote was about feeling like she was in quicksand and being swallowed up by this quicksand. And there's like a person in the sand, like a sand spirit that's like pulling the person down and they feel like they're drowning and they need to get out. And there's some text on there.
They're just, it's beautiful. When you sent those over, I was just amazed. It must be such an amazing thing to witness as a teacher, you know, someone guiding them through this practice.
Yeah, it's high school students, and some of them are alumni from Mosaics that came back, and some of them are first timers. And we're just, you know, we're exposing them to the text of poetry and asking them about their feelings, asking them what they think. Because a lot of times when you ask kids a question, you're not asking them how they feel about it. And the cool thing about this is we're asking them how they feel about the things that they're hearing and seeing, and they're responding with their emotions as well as with their art. It's all mixing together.
Right. Oh, so awesome. I think also, especially at that age, there's so much going on. There's a lot of confusing thoughts, feelings. You're trying to figure out your social, it's a lot. And so for someone to take the time to ask them how they're actually feeling about something, I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. And when we started the class, you know, Amina, my co-teacher and the person that kind of brought me into doing this, and this is through Gemini Inc. as well, and the Blue Star Contemporary Arts. But she told them, the students that were starting, she's like, we are a family. So you're going to get to know these other students. They're going to be your community, and they do work together. They run their art by each other. They consult with each other. And it's not just like they're sitting in their little station doing their own thing. Like they're getting up, they're walking over. Hey, what are you working on? I got some extra supplies, or is there something you need help with, or giving them opinions and stuff like that. And it's so great to see them giving each other positive feedback and critique on the work that they're doing, because that's how they're going to improve. And it's not a judgment zone, but it's really like a supportive zone for them.
I think we all need that.
Heck yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay. Any other events you have coming up?
I do. So I'm starting. For 13 years, I used to co-host a spot called Second Verse. We called it the premier poetry spot here in San Antonio. And it was an award-winning spot. We won 2 consecutive awards for best open mic in the nation by the National Poetry Awards.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we won those 2 awards back in the day. Anyways, we during the pandemic, we did it for a little bit, but then it was starting to just become increasingly more difficult and not safe really for us to be gathering. So we stopped doing Second Verse, and now we are coming back as the remix. It's just Glow and I this time, and shout out to Kenton, but it's just Glow and I. We're going to be at Upstage Comedy Lounge on Walsham Road. The address is 4441 Walsham Road. We're going to be there on March 10th. Doors open at 9 p.m. The cover charge is $15, but you're getting live music. There's a cash bar. There's food available. You're getting poetry, comedians, singer-songwriters. You're getting all of that in this space. And it's just going to be a great time for community to gather. We may have some vendors out there in the future, but right now we're just kicking back the poetry. We're going to be happening every second Friday. So that's once a month, starting March 10th, this coming Friday.
This Friday.
Please join us at Upstage.
Awesome. I wish I could be there for that. Bring my ukulele.
We would dig it too. We would get right there with you.
Nobody wants to hear that. Okay. We have just some closing announcements before we say goodbye for today. Hearts Need Art is looking for volunteers. So if you are interested, and you do not have to consider yourself an artist in order to volunteer with us, we need help with various things. Some of it's administrative work. It could be writing thank you cards. It could be actually assisting our artist team. But we invite you to send in an application for that. And there are some remote opportunities. So we'll make sure we put the link in the comments. We also are close to the end of our Give and Garden fundraiser. That's going on until the 17th. So you have 10 more days to purchase your plants, bulbs, seeds, whatever you need for your garden. And half of the proceeds from your purchase will go directly to Hearts Need Art. And we are moving right along with our Make 1,000, Give 1,000 with our board member, Amy Latta. And do we have any pictures, Richard? Let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's some of the recent entries that people have shared with us using the hashtag Make 1,000, Give 1,000. These are, if you're listening and not watching, some people have made little heart pillows. Some people have just done like coloring sheets, hearts on canvas, quilt squares. There's really no limit to how you create these hearts. It can be something you do with your kids. So anyone can participate in this project. You can visit our website, heartsneedart.org, and there is a link right at the top to get started on participating. For every heart that's received after you mail it in, $1 will be donated to Hearts Need Art, up to $1,000. So thank you to everyone that has sent in hearts so far. We're busy counting them, and we'll eventually start handing them out to patients. So on that note, we want to thank the Nancy Smith Hurd Foundation, Jane Phipps specifically of the Nancy Smith Hurd Foundation, for making this podcast possible. We're just so excited to bring our guests on each week and share them with y'all.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Until
see you next
time. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening to Arts for the Health of It. This episode is produced by Hearts Need Art, creative support for patients and caregivers. You can support the show and help others learn about the healing power of the arts by visiting heartsneedart.org. The views expressed on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of Hearts Need Art, their staff, board members, or other affiliates. All content is created for informational purposes only. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice or to diagnose and treat any health condition. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health professional with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this podcast.